Hello there. Today we're going to review an ink I need to take. I have a wristband that supports my wrist because I have issues with the wrist and I really need to take that off for this review. Anyway, we're going to review an ink. And this is Platinum rather. I'm sorry, not Pilot. Platinum Mix-Free Leaf Green. And this came from Lady Onogaro off of Fountain Pen Geek. She gave me a bunch, 10 or 15 different samples of inks, and this was one of them, and I promised reviews of them. I realized that this ink has been around a while, but it is still available at Goulet Pens for $20 for 60 milliliters. It's a fantastic green ink in my opinion. We'll be using a Lamy Safari with a medium nib. The ink rather, in my opinion, is really dry. But it flows really well. It flows like a wetter ink, and it feels like it should be wetter than it is. Let's write with it. The only thing necessary I know I spelled that wrong. For evil to thrive. I'm not writing well today. There we go. That's why I had those wraps on. It's for good men to do nothing. Also, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It writes really well, it flows really well, no skips, nothing like that. You can see the ink. For me, the ink is visibly very easy to read. A lot of times when you get things like green inks or yellow, gold, orange types inks, even sometimes reds if they're not really bright or really dark, they can tend to be difficult for me to read. I wear glasses normally and my vision is not all that great, and a lot of times a lighter colored ink, especially something like a green or a yellow, is very difficult for me to read. This one is not. The only time that I have difficulty reading this is I am a preacher and a Sunday school teacher, and I make notes in the margins of my Bible that help to guide me when I teach and preach. And the paper that's in a Bible, this ink and these medium nibs, for some reason the paper doesn't absorb the ink as much, and it seems like a much finer line than a medium nib would be, and in that case it can be difficult to read. So if I make any kind of margin notes and stuff like that, I'm going to choose a black or a blue ink for that reason. But for everything else, it's just a wonderful green ink, I think. And I mean, look at it. Look how beautiful it is, isn't it? It flows wonderfully well. It feels like I said, like it's a lot wetter than it is. It's just a wonderful ink. Now these are meant, it's called a mix-free because Pilot, or I keep saying Pilot, and it's Platinum, not Pilot, so please excuse me. But Platinum designed these inks so that they're in several colors and you can mix and match to come up with your own custom ink color. So if you're into that kind of thing, they would be cool inks to mess with in that regard. I like this one just specifically for the color that it is, and the properties of the ink itself, its flow, and all of that, the way that it writes. These aren't the smoothest, but they're not super scratchy, but this ink makes this nib feel a bit smoother than it actually is, and it's really good. Now it does have a bit of bleed through on this kind of paper. I don't know if you can see that or not, but honestly, no more bleed through than it would on with a ballpoint on this kind of cheap composition paper. I use a heavier weight. It also makes the doesn't absorb the ink as well, as much, so the line is a bit finer if you look between the two. But I use a heavier paper that I buy from Walmart. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 24-pound ink, or 24-pound paper. There's no bleed through on that paper whatsoever. I've even got a mark there where I scribbled out. You won't find it on the back of this paper anywhere. And it's a wonderful paper. I can't remember the brand. I would know it when I went into Walmart and saw it again. But I'm going to get another ream of it and review it later. But I think it's a really nice paper for fountain pens. But anyway, I mean, you see there, even on this paper, which is more of a cream than a white, it's not difficult to read. It's just a beautiful ink. And if you're interested in a bright green ink that's not so light and bright that you can't read it on a white sheet of paper, if you like a brighter sort of green ink, then this is a good one to choose. 60 milliliters for 20 bucks at Goulet. You can decide for yourself whether that's very expensive. To me, I'm used to buying $10 and $12 bottles of ink, but I wouldn't hesitate to spend 20 on a that would be a high, 20-25 would be a high end for a bottle of ink for me, but I'd spend it on one that I liked. So alright, I hope that this has been helpful and you've liked the review. God bless you, and I will see you next time. Later.